lost. Brian Seymour takes a look here at an issue where emotions run high.
And a lot of people ask me, did you really smoke a marijuana in this movie, or was it just fake? I said, no, I really smoked it, and I also inhaled.
Last question. Do you smoke marijuana?
I think that's irrelevant. I think it's irrelevant whether you smoke cannabis or whether the owners of Channel 7 smoke cannabis. Who cares? It's a private business.
Over 50,000 people are arrested each year for using cannabis. It accounts for 2/3 of all illegal drug arrests.
The likelihood of being caught and taken before a court is a good enough reason to stop people using in the first place. The New South Wales Bureau of Crime and Statistics found that the law does work.
I would say to Craig, we need to legalise all drugs for the safety of the community.
In terms of legalization of drugs, I think that the battle, the war on drugs has been an utter failure.
Barack Obama has pot smokers the world over fired up. He's making medical marijuana widely available. He wants cannabis decriminalised. And he's open about his own experience with the wacky weed.
You asked other presidents that were running, did they inhale?
I did. I never understood that line. The point was to inhale. That was the point.
It gets easier to live with. You spend less time thinking and talking about it, but you never get over it. And I just had an incident recently where one of our volunteers in South Australia lost a son. Of course, that brings it all flooding back as you talk to that woman about what she's going through right now.
Tony Trimmingham has an Order of Australia medal. He got that after he lost his son to a heroin overdose 12 years ago. Tony heads the Family Drug Support Network, providing information and counselling.
If I was going to legalise something, I'd start with the hardest. I'd start with heroin, because I do believe that is something that if we legalised it, we'd get rid of the three major problems: crime, disease, and death. That would go if we legalised heroin. So that's where I would start.
Make it legal, make it safe. That's the theory. Latest polls in America and Australia show the majority now agree, none more so than the anonymous head of Legalise Cannabis Australia.
And what we're proposing is each household or person can grow up to 5 plants with a licensed system. That is $300, including GST, per year to grow up to 5 plants outside or hydroponically inside the house.
Making marijuana use legal still horrifies some, who regard it as an evil drug that sends people psychotic.
I certainly do. In many respects, I regard it as one of the worst drugs, and so do a number of the probation officers that I was involved with, because of the behavioural effects it would cause.
Craig Thompson speaks for Drug-Free Australia, who believe we need to properly enforce the hard laws we already have and make sure that dopers are prosecuted and jailed. Well, I don't know about you, Craig, but I feel like a beer, mate. Care to join me?
I know what you mean. I see a vast difference, though, between the consumption of alcohol and the use of illicit drugs.
Well, I'm sure he means well, but the cannabis industry in Australia has been estimated to have twice the annual turnover financially of the Australian wine industry. So whether we like it or not, it's real, it exists, and we can't stop it.
Speaking at St Vincent's Hospital, where he works, Dr Alex Wodak is also renowned for his involvement with the Australian Drug Law Reform Foundation.
I think in the long term, all currently illicit drugs will become regulated. It's only because tobacco was legal that we could push up the price, restrict the availability, slap warning stickers on the packets, all the reasons for taking the same approach with cannabis to try and reduce cannabis consumption.
If you're calling it a gateway drug, then why don't we have 40% of the population using all the other drugs? I mean, the reality is that it's 2% at the most use heroin, and the other drugs between maybe 2 and 10%. So if it's a gateway, it's not a very successful gateway.
Cannabis, we now know, is a gateway drug, but it's a gateway drug to a different thing. It's a gateway drug to become the US president. The last 3 presidential candidates, successful presidential candidates, have all been cannabis smokers.
California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger has turned his attention to terminating the laws prohibiting marijuana. He believes by taxing it, he can solve his state's financial woes.
I think he's spot on. He's a wise man and he's a man of the future. And once he takes grasp of this concept and makes it permanent, then other states of America will catch on and other countries in the world will catch on after they realise that the Terminator is a smart man.
That might take a while, especially in Western Australia, where Premier Colin Barnett's Liberal government is rolling back the laws that allowed people to grow their own marijuana and avoid jail if caught with it. And Colin Barnett says this proves his government is tough on drugs. It will be a harsh deterrent for people not to use drugs. Is he right?
Well, the Barnett government may well go down in history as the last government in the world with this back to the future type approach to cannabis.
I think that's very sad, but there are always going to be dinosaurs, particularly in the political world. 5
countries in Europe and 5 countries in South America are going down a different path, and next month the Czech Republic will make it the 6th European country to go down the path of liberalising laws, taking a public health and human rights approach to drugs.
If we've got the highest drug cannabis using rate in the world now, if we legalise it, it's going to get worse. Must.
Smoking kills 50 people a day in Australia. Alcohol kills 15 people a day in Australia. Illicit drugs kill 1 person a day in Australia. Now, we can reduce that if it is legal. So, what's right and what's wrong here?
Now,